Hello and welcome to everybody. In this ninth session, we will discuss the all-important screen. The screen is omnipresent and has taken over our lives. In my opinion, kids should not be playing on or with the screen, period. Let's examine it from various angles. We have seen in the role model video that kids constantly emulate elders. A majority of parents are on screen, be it work-related computer screen, entertainment-related cinema, television screens, or leisure-related video games, computer, tablet, e-reader, or phone screens. Entertainment and leisure are interchangeable to a large extent in this digital age. Kids until a certain age always think parents, adults do more important and cool things, and hence love to do the same things to feel important. Plus, studies have shown that even infants as tender as a few months old can easily master touchscreens. As a sidebar, that is why they are so wildly popular and have been exploited by companies that extensively study human behavior before releasing major products. This holds true for tobacco companies in the 1960s, true for gaming, social media, smartphone companies today, and will be true for the next addictive product/company tomorrow. Some of the ill effects are well documented, have been repeatedly highlighted in previous videos, and are addiction. Touchscreens and screen-based games activate the same pleasure centers that recreational drugs like cocaine do. Same dopamine rush and short-term heavenly feelings. When you wouldn't want your older teenage or adult kid smoking cigarette or weed or resorting to cocaine or always drinking alcohol, why would you introduce young infants, toddlers, and kids to such destruction with a similar rush? There are plenty of friends, non-screen activities, games, physical objects that kids can play with when they are quote-unquote bored. If they are not introduced to the addictive screen when they are very young, they learn to live without it. Screens are very passive. Some video games are more active but limit the number of limbs or parts of the brain that are engaged. Physical activity promotes physical strength, mental strength, and camaraderie. Kids get physically wasted by spending more time on screen than physically playing in an outside environment and with other kids. Screens, by their very nature, foster couch potato behavior, obesity, and related long-term health issues. Constant screen usage also leads to dry eyes, leading to increased blurriness and other issues including long-term eye damage. These are well documented. Screen usage also leads to loneliness, being aloof, non-social behavior, and tendency to throw tantrums at the drop of a hat. All these are classic symptoms of addiction. Just like online social platforms like Facebook and Instagram lead to instant gratification by the number of followers or likes per hour, kids take instant gratification for granted. They see their parents Googling stuff for everything from nearest grocery to maps to fact-checking and think that everything in life is the same. Unfortunately, there is no undo button for a lot of things in real life. And Google search is a poor substitute for searching physical books or the joy of discovery. Before we move on to solutions to the problem, let us review some of the benefits. Screens provide educational content that enriches kids. I would argue that physical learning by example or experimenting, role-playing, pretending, etc. play a far more important role in shaping the little tender brains. I have personally spent time with so-called extremely restless kids of our friends and managed to keep the kids productively engaged and happily occupied for hours. During these COVID times, the screens have been a blessing and have become temporarily necessary. But please do not stop physical activities and games. Your kids can play by themselves or a close knit of trusted COVID-free relatives or friends. Solutions. The best remedy is to prevent. Hold off on allowing screen for as long as possible. My recommendation is no screen until about preschool level, then limited educational or cartoon time for 2 hours or so per week, underline. If your kid is in the 2 to 4 age group and constantly demands screen due to your initial laxity, try to wean them away by slowly reducing screen time. Note that alternative activities should be engaging enough to overcome the withdrawal symptoms of no screen. Good news is that this age group is young enough to adapt quicker, though the resistance is surprisingly strong. For kids 4 to 6, it's a little harder, but craft-related and/or school-related activities exist to keep them occupied. For older kids, it gets progressively harder, though again, the number of subjects or other activities also increase correspondingly. Constantly encourage, cajole, demand, or impose activities on kids as required. You are the parent. You set limits. You worry about their future and are responsible for them. If they are screen addicts, you plus your spouse are solely responsible. Not the kids, which is a very common refrain. My kids cannot eat without the favorite cartoon, or the way to quieten them is to play their favorite YouTube video, or I'm busy and screens are their nanny, etc. Not other kids, since other kids are discussing cartoon shows or games or latest app on the phone, my kids are left behind. Not other parents. Those 10 to 11-year-olds have a cell phone. Why can't my kids? Screen usage of any kind should be an irritation or afterthought or a very, very minuscule part of a kid's life. I constantly harangue my kids to study, play, eat well, and sleep well. Everything else is secondary, be it playdates, arts, hobbies, non-screen entertainment, etc. Screen is so minuscule to non-existent that it's not even worth mentioning. Screen is destructive for ages up to 8 or so. Kids below 4 years should have no screen time at all. See earlier videos for effective development. Beyond about 8 years of age, screen may become necessary due to school-related activities, but by then hopefully the young brains have been conditioned to treat screens as a useful accessory than a requirement to die for. Unfortunately, there is no direct precedent to compare against your childhood in the latter decades of 20th century. The comparable item would be smoking weed, cigarettes, or snorting coke in terms of being addictive, except that most parents do not correlate screens with addictions. Hopefully, with the recently imposed social distancing, people have realized that too much distancing during normal times is not good. Hence, kids playing with each other is the best antidote to passive, lonely screenplay. Too much of something is bad. Even the most benign water consumed in large quantities leads to uneasiness. Remember, with the internet, hundreds of TV channels and entertainment information overload, there is no limit on available screen time. Parents should be extremely cautious with themselves using screen in front of their kids and very stingy with their kids' screen time. How many life skills that you learned from your parents are you passing on to your kids? Do the kids think that the screen is your, and by extension, the very definition of their world? In the next video, we will discuss kids 4 to 6 years old. With that, I'd like to sign off, and we'll meet again sometime next month. Thank you.